1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show.
That would completely, possibly change our opinion on something like that. Wendy said her life was agony. She was obviously an intelligent woman. She'd been a former care worker, lovely lady, and everything about her quite clearly was lovely, but she could not cope with the loss of her only son. Now, I'm sure there are many people around the world who do cope. I'm not giving them praise against Wendy. I'm not criticizing her, but I think we need to recognize, and I'm sure we do, that anybody suffering the loss, particularly of a child, must go through great difficulties really for the rest of their lives, but you learn, I guess, to manage it. So anyway, that story of Wendy, does it colour your view on what you've said earlier?
Well, first of all, I would like to send my deepest condolences to the families of Wendy for losing a loved one, really. Now, I listened intently to the story of Wendy, although only Wendy could tell the story herself, the way that it really affected her emotionally and otherwise. However, I looked at the circumstances, and I think I'm back on the fence fully. I'm thinking, now it does raise questions for me personally, because at first I was leaning towards life. I was like, okay, so I'm still on the fence, but slightly leaning towards, against being against it. And now I'm thinking, all right, so now I'm fully back on the fence, because Wendy's story, you can never, as a man, you can never ever understand what a woman that really wants to have a child goes through. You can never ever understand that. As men, we think, yeah, all right, because men have a kind of a reproductive longevity, if you want. I think there was a case of I think it was Al Pacino that had a child at 80 something. So men are slightly, for women, there's a cutoff line. In extreme cases, maybe you go 5, maybe 10 years above the cutoff line, but that's rare. So very rare instances. Now, when I think about a woman wanting a child and not being able to have a child, that alone, the fear of being barren, the fear of not being able to call themselves a mom, that alone is something. Now, I then look at the other side of then having lost that child. That's double the pain. And as such, I have a greater sympathy for Wendy. However, I'm thinking there's other routes. There's adoption, and that doesn't justify anything. This is just my personal opinion. However, there are other routes. There's adoption. There is, my younger brother had a baby last year, so she's almost 1 now, our Olivia. And I look at her and I call her my child. I say, oh, how's my daughter doing? So there's that sense of, having a close family member.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang, with fun.
Just adopt them in your head, but then again, man, difference between a man and a woman. and I'm thinking about the sanctity of life. All right, so she's attempted suicide. Would she have chose life if she was completely normal? And normal in context. So normal as in the way she was before they attempted suicide. Some people actually do go back to the way they were after an attempted suicide. And perhaps not fully emotionally, but sometimes some people grow to have an appreciation for life even more after a failed suicide attempt. And I looked at all those factors, and I'm thinking, right, okay, so I don't want to be an idiot. I don't want to sound like a fool because I'm failing to take other people's emotions. I'm failing to be empathetic. I'm failing to show sympathy. So I'm just back fully on the fence, and I'm thinking, I would look at it case by case, as in case by case basis, or on a case by case basis. I would look at what the person is going through, how it affects them, which I can never know. Only the person knows.
Yeah.
So, and as such, I'd still sit on the fence and say, well, present your case. Let me hear your case. And then I can decide whether to swing this way or that way, depending on how it motivates me to swing. So yeah, it's a very tragic thing, and when people die outrightly, they don't feel pain. But when people have to go through a lot of be emotional, physical, or even mental pain, it just makes it harder. It's like dying twice, 3 times, 4 times all over again. So yeah, again, I conclude by saying, deepest sympathy to the family, condolences to the family of that of the poor Wendy. Yeah, it's a tragedy. Yeah.
It really is a tragedy. Yeah, thanks for all that. I mean, just obviously, this is not what we would call a suicide in the traditional sense of suicide. Suicide is when maybe, I think going back some years, the coroner's verdict used to be when they agreed that it was a suicide, an intentional one. I think the verdict used to be along.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang.